Well, it's still September, isn't it? And so our Centers for Spiritual Living theme for the month is ensure the stewardship of our planet. And the value for the month is love, our favorite, right? Love. And so today's talk is about personal gardening, my side of the farm. And I thought about when a few of you that were spearheaded by Monet went to the farm, and you were what, planting potatoes? And it was a small but mighty group. We plant the potatoes, and we don't even get to eat those particular potatoes, but other people do. And that is a good lesson in itself, isn't it? This is after a reading from Thomas Merton. What is mine to do? Good chant that was. This is a question for all of us. What is mine? What is yours? Do that. Do it well. Do it with all the love you have, and let the rest go. What a wonderful way to live, don't you think? Do what is ours to do. Do it with love. Let other people do what is theirs to do. Ultimately, we're working together. Each of us is a very important piece of the puzzle. And then let the rest of it go. Not worrying about, well, are you doing your part? That's not mine to do. It's not mine to question. Are you doing your part? It's mine to do my part. So choosing to be responsible, as we all know, is not a burden. It is not an onus. It's not something heavy. Remember, the master teacher said, my yoke is easy. My burden is light. Now, a yoke is not necessarily something that's uncomfortable or even heavy. A yoke is a connection, right? It's just a connection. Connecting with the divine spirit within is easy. We sometimes simply need to sit down and stop talking and stop thinking too much for a moment. Have you ever decided, I think too much? Have you ever said to yourself, this conversation in my head has got to stop? So the yoke is easy. The connection is quite simple. It's sitting still and opening our hearts and letting the divine speak. My burden is light. A burden doesn't need to be heavy either. A burden is something we carry. We've come to think of that word in a pejorative sense, as though it's my burden, it's my cross to bear. I always like the other cartoon about, Gladly the Cross-Eyed Bear. It's a little bear with crossed eyes. Never mind. Yeah, it helps to lighten things up. A burden is simply something we carry. And it might be a handful of flowers. That can be a burden. It's simply something we carry. What is it that we carry? What we are here to carry is light. My yoke is easy. The connection is simple. Just listen, open our hearts, open our minds. And what we carry is the light. There is one light in this universe, and we all are individual expressions of it. We're all facets of it. This is why we look to see what is each of ours to do in order to shine that one light so beautifully and so brilliantly in each facet of our own. There isn't anybody in this world who can shine that one light through that particular facet that is you, like you. You're the only one who can do that. This is why we do not hide our lights under a bushel, but we show them, and that's what we carry. That's what we're learning to carry by listening more deeply. Responsibility. What does that mean? It's the ability to respond, as Karen shared so beautifully in her story. It was a true story. We choose to respond rather than to react. Very good. You've been coming here for a while, huh? Good. So what we find is truly ours to do, we want to do it with love. We want to do it with joy. We want to do it with a willingness, knowing that our enthusiasm helps to spark the enthusiasm of other people who are there to do their important part too. It's a wonderful system. Imagine entering into each activity that you do throughout the day with a sense of enthusiasm and love. Doing what you love, loving what you do, and understanding how important every tiny action is to the whole. What a wonderful way to move through the day. And knowing the difference between our authentic realm of activity, what truly is ours to do, and not just something that somebody told us we ought to do, but our authentic realm of activity, and knowing what may be belonging to others, that is the realm of wisdom. I know what's mine. I know what is not mine. And then we make our yes authentic, and we learn to make our no authentic too. When was the last time someone said, "Would you do this?" And you went, "Oh, sure," without really stopping to process it and to ask Spirit within, is this mine to do? It's a reaction. It's a habit sometimes. Sure, I want to help. Well, maybe helping is different than what I've specifically been asked to do. Maybe I have been asked to build a house. That wouldn't be a problem for me in saying no, because that's not my realm of expertise. But perhaps I can go to Home Depot with you and help to load the car and carry things for you, but I can't build it. Why would I say, "Oh, sure"? Unless I suddenly had this stroke of genius and found out that I'm a contractor without a license. Let's stop and think with our hearts when we're asked to do something. See, I plant the right seeds. You plant the right seeds, the ones that we know we are capable of sowing and nurturing and raising up, so that there's a harvest for myself, for you, and for anybody else who might enjoy it. I want to plant the seeds that are mine to plant, and I want to reap that harvest with joy. When we trust infinite love, and love is infinite, it is everywhere. And you know why? Because it is an attribute of the divine. It simply exists. If I'm not feeling love, it's not because the love isn't there. It's because I've somehow disconnected from the experience of it. And it's up to me to reconnect with the experience of it. It's the hose again, right? You water your car, you're watering your car, it's going to grow. No. You water your lawn, it'll grow. You water your car, it'll be clean. You can see out of the windshield again. I love washing my car. I don't do it anymore because where we live, there's no place to do that. So, gosh, we just have to go to the car wash. It's not mine to do anymore. But it was, and I loved it. But have you ever noticed, has anyone here ever washed your car? Okay, good. You know then, you got the hose and you're really having a good time. You've got all the equipment and you're washing, you're rinsing. And then you go around the back of the car and suddenly the hose gets twisted and kinked and the water's not coming out anymore. Gosh darn, where did the water go? There's no water. Well, there's plenty of water, but I got a kink in my hose. So what do? But I unkink the hose, and the same is true with love. Whether it's a personal relationship, whether it's a group, whether it's people we hear about that we don't think we like very much, well, no matter what it is, the love is still available. Whew. It's hard sometimes, isn't it, to love people who are being unlovely? Have you noticed that? It just doesn't come real easily. That's where our work is. That's where our spiritual work is. To reconnect by unkinking my personal hose. That's my side of the farm. That's what I get to do. And gosh darn, it's a privilege to do it even though at times I think, how can I love this one? When we eliminate the judgment, which is some of the hardest part, isn't it? When we eliminate the inner critic, that is a very important part of unkinking the hose. When we're willing to be able to see another person's point of view, we're unkinking the hose. When we're remembering that that person was created in the image and likeness of wholeness and love and light and life and peace and power and beauty and joy, and that all that good stuff is within them waiting to be invited to come out, it gets a little easier. We want to keep the conversations even within our own minds in heaven. And what is heaven? Heaven is Uranos, and what does that mean? That which is forever and ever expanding. We want to keep our consciousness expanding based in love and wisdom. What is mine to do? I want to feel great satisfaction in every job well done, don't you? If it's drying a dish, or comforting a child, or creating anything that happens to be in your realm of co-creativity, doesn't it feel good for that job to be well done and to know that you have been the co-creator with the infinite that allowed that wonderful manifestation of good to take place so that people can see it and enjoy it. Maybe they can eat it if it's a meal you've just prepared. Maybe they can rejoice in the safety of the train that you've just repaired. Everybody here is a genius. Everybody here has so many abilities and talents, and they're all different. Isn't that delightful? We all have something to contribute, but we first need to take care of our own side of the farm. Then we get to tend it together. That's so joyous. I found a new word. Would you like to hear it? Syzygy. Do you know syzygy? Oh, it's a great word. It's from the Greek, of course. All the good words came from the Greek. From syzygia, which means yoked together. There we are again with connection. Syzygy. And it's used in many different areas, in math and in astronomy. When the sun and the moon and the earth are in alignment, you know what we have? An eclipse. Those, yeah. What did you say? Syzygy. Say it with me. Syzygy. Okay, so these are three independent bodies, celestial bodies, right? The sun, the moon, and the earth. But when syzygy occurs, they're all in alignment. I like that. Even though they may be quite different, they may be in some ways oppositional things. Now they're corresponding, and there is harmonious, effective work, just like when the alignment with people who are coming together to do good. All different, but they've all done their own work, and then we come together, and yet each one of us first does our own part, and then we can work together in love. Here's, that sounds very much like another word that we do use, that we understood, and now we have two. Synergy. Very similar. Of course, it's from the Greek too, and it's working together. So we have the connection and we have the working together. This is an interaction. The synergy is an interaction or cooperation between two or more agents, and it produces a greater effect than the sum of its parts. So, I want to tend my side of the farm at the same time that I'm looking at the entire agricultural miracle, and thrilled that each person who is working that farm with me is doing his or her own important part of it. We teach that there is love and law. Ernest Holmes taught us to court the presence and direct the law. It is when we are completely attuned to that living, loving presence within us and decide that any distraction can be a temporary delight and allow ourselves to be so completely immersed in that loving, wise, intelligent, compassionate, co-creative spirit within and all around us that we're happy to take all the kinks out of our hose, to let the love of the divine express through us with a constant flow, uninterrupted, that we can then, in that place of beautiful union with Source, in that place, we can indeed speak our word and make a difference in our own personal lives. And you can't do that without it affecting the lives of others as well. Seen and unseen, known and unknown. You know, Ernest Holmes speaks about the subjective part of life as well as the conscious part. And in the subjectivity of the entire human race, there's every thought, every feeling, every experience that's ever taken place, every song that's been sung, every book that has been written, and some nonsense as well. Did you know that there's nonsense in the subjective mind? And it would have an impression upon us if we let it. There are some false beliefs in there, like you can only have so much, or because of your upbringing, you can only go so far, or so many other silly things that we sometimes call the nincompoopery. And when that begins to press in on us, it's the time to go, wait a minute. There is a unified field of love and wisdom within and all around me, and I'm part of it. So I have the responsibility to speak my word of love, my word of truth, and make a positive impact upon that subjective area of mind. Because the conscious mind is more powerful when we recognize that we speak love, and the universe, through the infinite law of mind, responds in the same way. That's how we unkink. That's how we do our part. That's how we make a creative difference in our lives. I just want to do my part. I want to know what is mine to do, don't you? And then I want to do it with love, don't you? And then we want to do it together, don't you? What are the two magic words? Yes, please. And that's what we are here to do. And I love being a part of this community where I continue to do my work. And I thrill to working together with you and doing something amazing for each other and for the greater community. Will you say with me, with gratitude and enthusiasm, I enter into what I am guided to do. I work in tandem with Spirit. And I co-create with all beings. And so, my beloveds, beginneth our lesson.